Yo, people. So welcome back to the Science Advancements podcast show. We're back again. This is the second show since we started uploading these podcast videos on our YouTube channel. So today we're joined by Jones Mukuta, who's also part of Science Exploration Zambia, a member of SAIS. Jones Mukuta, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Okay, so today we're just going to briefly talk about different advancements in science, things that have been going on around the globe, advances that are happening in science. And to start with, I think there's something that really caught my attention that I want to uh, bring on the table. It says on the 15th of April, NASA reports the discovery of Kepler. Kepler is I know it's a planet, and then now check out what's so intriguing. They say an exoplanet that is closer to Earth in size and temperature than any other world yet found in data from Kepler's space telescope. Yeah. So now, what thought would you give about this new planet that has been discovered? Because according to some of the research that I've done, I hear that this would be very a good place for humans to live in terms of energy, minerals, and if you look at the power deficit that we're facing here in Zambia, and imagine if we would ship to such a planet where we would have sources of energy in vast dimensions.
Firstly, it's a good discovery, and like you've said, it's very similar to Earth. Looking at the conditions, and it's said to receive actually 75% of our starlight, in as much as it is out of our solar system, and it orbiting around a hot red dwarf, as well as it being in the habitable zone where water is known to be possibly existent. So I think it's a good one. The only problem that will be there is the distance, because it's actually 300 light years from planet Earth itself. Yeah.
Okay, so the problem would be the distance, and looking at what man has been trying to do over the years, and maybe just to be brief, and maybe you would tackle this question. You know, there's this thing of Mars. Now, so what do you think would be the comparison between Kepler and Mars, and what do you think is the difference? What makes Kepler to be special than Mars?
I think the difference I think would lie mostly with the water. Kepler seems to have greater chances and possibilities of water than Mars. But also the key thing here is the distance between the two. I think it would be far easier to travel to Mars than it would be to travel to Kepler itself, actually.
Okay, so that's very good. Thank you very much for the feedback on that. So these are one of the advances that are happening in the world of science right now. As you've heard, there's a new planet that has been discovered, and it's termed to be a very good habitat for humans. For more research, you can just throw in your questions in the comment section. We'll be able to get back to you and give more information concerning the discovery of Kepler. And then there's another intriguing report that I just read that is coming out again. As it says, this one was reported on the 15th of January, but again, it's resurfaced on the internet. It says astronomers report for the first time the origin of phosphorus, an essential element of life. As we know, phosphorus was found to be initially formed in star-forming regions and carried by comet in form of phosphorus monoxide through outer space, including uh, LEF. So what would you think? What do you think would be the importance of phosphorus on planet Earth? As we know, phosphorus is an essential element in plants and a lot of stuff. We've heard of phosphorus in our biology, grade 10, grade 12, but maybe just give in brief insight on how phosphorus would be important to planet Earth.
Well, firstly, we can just look at how useful it has been to planet Earth right now. We all know that phosphorus is very key when it comes to bone formation, when it comes to the trapping conversion of sunlight energy, when it comes to photosynthesis, as well as production of fertilizers. But personally, I see this as a bridging gate or opening doors to far, far better discoveries and elements. If we can study other planets and how other things have evolved, I think it helps us understand how we've evolved as a planet as well. And in that way, it would give us knowledge of how to tackle some problems. Who knows what other biological things we could discover that could actually be key to even solving things like the pandemics we're having at the moment. So I personally see it as an opening door to greater discoveries that can help mankind today.
Okay, that's very, very interesting. And yeah, looking at crisis that we're in right now, global pandemic and everything, it really, really makes sense. Yeah, so again, to be quick, we jump on to the next subject, which is there's another report again. Satellite data show that air pollution was reduced significantly in countries worldwide after lockdown and other interventions due to the 2019-2020 coronavirus pandemic. The sudden shift has been called the largest scale experiment ever in terms of reduction of industrial emission. We can so now maybe just imagine what's happening. Like there's a reduction of air pollution in the atmosphere, industries across the globe shut down. And there's a report that I read in New York, Chicago. There's a complaint saying no cars in the street. And I think you know what cars would do when it comes to polluting the air. So maybe just give us your thoughts on this. What would be your thoughts on this? Is it an advantageous thing that it's happening, or is it to disadvantages planet Earth?
So fair enough to say that some things are actually benefiting from this. For instance, our atmosphere, the ground itself, we'll get to have our soil be improved. We'll get to have cleaner air. We'll get to have cleaner forests, cleaner rivers, cleaner lakes. I think it's more of a cleansing to the environment, despite the pandemic we've had. But I think there's some good that's coming out of the measures that have been put in place.
Okay. So what do you think would this be an advantage of the ozone layer on the ground, looking at what's happening now?
Definitely. I mean, looking at the images from the ESA's Sentinel-5P satellite, it shows way improvement with the atmospheric conditions right now. And since we've had a reduction in the greenhouse gas emissions, so that means a reduction on global warming, it's a very good turn to climate change and weather of the planet.
Okay. So maybe just to go to our last discussion. You know, this is quite intriguing, but I think it's a report that's going. People having discussions about this, but I just want you to give us your thought on this. Could robots help in the fight of COVID-19? Because looking at how medical personnel have been affected by the pandemic in the world, because it is recorded that about 20% of medical personnel in the world tested positive for COVID-19. So do you think robots would be of help in the fight of this global crisis?
I think there would be of help, but that would be, of course, looking at the production rate that would have of producing these certain robots. Because looking at how we've had things on lockdown, people not working, but the idea of putting robots in the front line, I think, is very brilliant. Actually, if there was a way that we could produce such robots to get out there, it would be a very brilliant step.
Okay. So maybe just a question that would come, and you know, we're looking, for example, looking at a country like Zambia and other countries as well in Africa. Many countries they don't. I think they would have a problem with this alternative of robots, and they would claim no huge investments would be put. But again, if you look at how the world has been put on a hold, I think I very much agree. I think robots would be an alternative, but that would require a lot of money. Governments, organizations would really have to invest huge chunks of money. But yeah, it's very good that we had you on the show. Yeah, so today we didn't have much to talk about, but just an update on advances that are happening around the world. Thank you very much for everyone that tuned in for the second upload of the podcast. Hope you enjoyed this show. And to Jones Mokuta, maybe just a few words for the people before you lash out.
What I can basically say this basically shows just how important science advancements is as well as research. We can see how most of the things around the world are solely dependent on the evolution of science. We can see how technology is being improved and how life is being made easier by science explorations and discoveries day by day. So I could just urge everyone to actually keep tuning in and keep watching, keep sharing, keep subscribing, as well as spreading the word there, as well as keeping research as well on themselves individually. You know, you don't have to stop and wait for NASA or any other big organizations. Exploration start with you as an individual. I think that's what I can say.
Okay, so we're very much grateful that you joined us today. And to everyone who's going to be watching, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. And for any inquiries, questions on the topics that have been discussed, make sure that you put the questions in the comment section. Till next week, see you.